Good evening, everyone. We welcome you on tonight to our first of several series on our health and self-care for our times, dialogue with powerful women. So it is not by accident or by coincidence that all of you are here. It's because you are powerful women, and that as powerful women, we are engaging each person in this space and in this time that we might have real talk amongst powerful women. I guarantee that on today, that when all of us leave here, not only will we affirm that we are powerful, but we will seek to continue to do powerful things, and that we would engage in this process of self-care, that the power that is in us will be able to touch other lives outside of this room and in this space. And so we thank God for each and every one of you and coming on today. We also want to thank our committee. This is a partnership of the Ministerial Health Fellowship, the Middlesex County NAACP, the Middlesex Health Women's Wellness Fund, and also we want to also thank our sponsors, the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, Sonny A. Rosenbaum Fund for Women and Girls. And also we want to continue to thank you. We've had a wonderful time in planning this event and the series of events in which you will be a part of. And so on tonight, myself, my name is Reverend Robyn Anderson, and also Sarah Moore will serve as your hostesses. And so I want to introduce at this time the person that will be leading us in our mindful activity. We thank God for Akilah Barr, who is a master yoga instructor, also has her own practice, and also is known all over Connecticut in the work that she does in mindfulness and engaging people in this process of taking care of themselves, and also mainly being in touch with their bodies. She's also a COVID-19 crisis counselor for the Ministerial Health Fellowship, and also a facilitator for the Amani Breakthrough Project. So at this time, to lead us in our mindful exercise, I'm going to present to us, to some, and to others, to all of us on tonight, Akilah Barr. I'm going to ask also if you would mute your phone, but just before Akilah comes, just so we can enjoy the exercise, I'm going to ask Sarah Moore if you would just come and remind people about how they can make sure that they mute themselves, and to
Sure.
Some tips on Zoom.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Anderson. Welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to have you all here. I'm going to ask if you do not want to be seen on tonight's recording, because we are recording tonight's event in case there are those who want to participate but couldn't come on tonight. Hide your video and then you won't be seen on the recording. Also, I have someone on the phone. If you are on the phone, can you mute your phone? Because we're hearing a little bit of feedback. And that would be really helpful. Tonight, we're going to use the chat function a number of times, either for feedback or for you to ask questions. And I encourage you to stay to the very end, because we do have a prize drawing for everyone who's on tonight. So thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to Akilah.
Thank you. Just welcome everyone. I'm going to do a little mindfulness, and I'm just going to incorporate a little bit of fun. So if everyone can just bring their hands together, we'll start with a little bit of rubbing. So I know we've all had a really busy day. It's kind of rainy out. So just creating some friction, see if we can just start to rub the hands a little bit more vigorously, creating some heat so we can start to activate the body for its own self-healing process. And then from here, I'm just going to make a cup with one of my hands and begin to tap onto my wrist and work my way up my forearm, up my upper arm towards the shoulder, all the way up into my neck, And then as I come down the arm, I'm going to bring the hand facing the earth and come down the other side of the arm. And we're going to do this a couple times. So I'm just going to clap the hands and make my way up my wrist. So you can do this even with a karate chop if you have a little bit more muscle tension in your body. You're making your way all the way up to the shoulder. And as you come down the arm, just bringing the palm towards the earth. Good. And then see if you can bring that same arm up towards the sky. And we're just going to bring the other hand towards the armpit. Do a little clapping here. So we're going to start to activate some healing down the ribs. So I'm going to clap down the side of my ribs, all the way to the waist, and then come right back up to your armpit. A little more tapping. We're going to do this 3 times. Good job. One more time, up and then down. Good. And then you can let that hand come down. We'll do a little bit more rubbing for the other side. Beautiful. And then start to make that little cup on your wrist, making your way up the forearm, elbow, the upper arm, all the way up the shoulder and the neck. And then I'm just going to place the palm towards the earth and come down. We'll do that twice. Good. Just waking up the body a little bit, letting it know it's ready, time to heal. I'm going to bring the arm up and make my way down the side of the wrist to the waist, back up to the armpit and down. Good. One more time. Nice. And then I'm just going to take my fingertips and start to tap on my chest. I know when I experience some anxiety, I start to get shortness of breath, tightness in my chest. So I'm just going to do some tapping here across the chest, across the collarbones, and then down the breastbone. Couple times. Good. And then from here, just bringing the hands right where the ribs connect in the belly. Placing both hands on top. Let's see if we can rub our abdominal area. Just a few times in circles. And then when you make your way back to the top, let's rub the other direction. Just so that if there's anything tight, you can go into those spots and go a little bit deeper. So if you have any tension in the belly, anything that's stagnant, and then make your way back up, and then we'll take our hands all the way to the back of your body. I'm just going to create these soft fists here and tapping right where the kidneys are. So right below the ribs. Give your body a nice tap for detoxification. Tapping up and down, and then just rub that area nice and soft. Good. And then from here, we're going to make our hands come towards our ears and do a little bit of circling here. So I'm just pulling the air away from the jaw. You could even open the jaw and close a couple times, making your way all the way up to the top, pulling as you go up. Good. And then rubbing the hands once more. Good job. And then taking either palm to the back of the neck. And see if you can just begin to create a little bit of pressure where you put your fingers, curl them into any muscle into the neck. Good. So if you're pulling with the right hand, you're going to lean your head to the left like me, and then pull the arm, pull the fingers to the right. Good. Take a big breath in through the nose. Beautiful. And then exhale. And we'll do one more breath like that. One big breath in through the nose. And then see if you can exhale out through your mouth. Good. We'll release this right hand, and I'm just going to take the left hand to the back of the neck. Nice squeeze here. Good. So you see how as you press your fingers into the neck, you can either have more tension or not. And then see if you can begin to lean the head to the right, pulling the hands to the left. Yeah. Take a bigger inhale through your nose. Beautiful. Release out through your mouth. And we'll do one more breath like that. Bigger inhale. Beautiful. Big sigh. And then release your hands. Let your whole body just relax against the back of your chair. If your body needs a little more movement, you can try a full body stretch. You reach through the fingers and the legs. Nice. And then just let everything soften. And we're just going to let our whole body sink into the chair for a couple moments. And our next breathing technique, we're just going to take it 2 inhales in through our nose. And then we'll exhale once through our mouth. And let's see if we can do that together. Inhale here. And then exhale out through your mouth. And just one more breath like that. Inhale. And exhale. And just let your eyes begin to soften through the gaze. And just let the breath be natural so you can feel that breath coming in through both, touching the back of your throat. Send it all the way down to your belly. You could even place your hands on your abs, on your belly. And just notice what you notice as you're breathing here. Notice any sensation in your body. You might feel warm, any tingly sensation, any buzzing. Just see what you notice as you're breathing. And as you exhale, see if there's any area in your body that you can soften. It might just be your jaw today, your tongue, maybe just the eyelids softening. Notice any sounds that you hear in your space. You might hear those cars driving by, the rain, any aroma. And as you exhale this time, let the shoulders, the hips relax all the way down to your toes. And I just want to invite you to check in with yourself. So we're going to bring our awareness all the way to the top of our head, still allowing that breath to come in nice and gently, filling the lungs, filling the belly. And as you're doing this gentle body scan, we're going to start at the top of the head. We're going to just go down the body all the way to our toes. I just want you to notice areas in your body that feel tense today, this evening. Areas that are really open so that you can explore more. And then also areas that maybe you don't have any sensation, and know that's okay. And also noticing that pause in between the inhale and the exhale breath. And then begin to bring your awareness right into your heart space. Just taking a mindful moment to create a very soft practice of intention. What would you like to bring into your body, into your mind, into your soul this evening? Maybe it's just a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of peace and mindfulness, whatever that is. Put it right into the heart. And then begin to just deepen your breathing a little bit more. Let the breath begin to go in any direction, every direction that it's needed in the body. Maybe even a gentle swallow to the back of your throat might feel good. And start to bring these little micro movements in the body, like movements of the fingers, a nod of the head. Just feeling really present, feeling really safe in your body. And allow your eyes to flutter open when ready. And then also begin to notice how you feel after this practice. And thank you. So I'm seeing comments of folks feeling more peaceful and less stress. That's wonderful. I hope you guys enjoyed that short mindful moment.
Thank you, Akilah.
You're welcome.
And we're going to move into asking you a few questions about yourself. And Reverend Anderson, did you want to introduce this piece?
Oh, sure. So again, I want to say good evening. Again, we're so happy and so excited, and thank you, Akilah, for leading us in that wonderful mindfulness. And we're just so, again, excited. The committee has been so excited. The planning committee, Judy Umfroy, Faith Jackson, Barbara Holloman, Sarah Moore, and Catherine Reese, and also Amber Kapoor. This has truly been a partnership. And so we're just so happy and excited about it. So one of the things that we wanted to also say, we're excited about our guests. You already heard Akilah and led us in this wonderful mindfulness, but we also, then you'll hear the introductions to them, Marilise Hyacinth, and then also Dr. Marilise Hyacinth, who will be sharing with us tonight, and also Dr. Alice Farrell. But right now, we want to get to know you. And so what we'd like for you to do right now, as we talk about being those powerful women, I want you to do one thing that describes you as being a powerful woman. What makes you a powerful woman? Just one thing that describes you. And then what is your dream vacation? If you could add that to in the chat, if you could share that in the chat, what is your dream vacation? If you just have dreamt about it, the vacation of your dream that you want to make sure you take and plan for, because you do know that dreams do come true. And then you also want to describe yourself. What makes you a powerful woman? And we're going to start calling out those things in the chat as we receive them. Come on, ladies. I know you are powerful. You have some things that describe you as powerful women. What makes you so powerful? Describe yourself. Why are you powerful? Describe yourself, and put those words, speak it into the atmosphere, put it in the chat. And then also we want you to also share about what is your dream vacation.
So if you can find the chat box, you can just type in those thoughts. And we can certainly come back to that if you need time to think. So Reverend Anderson, I think that we will go ahead and move into our presentation. We got a few, let's see, one moment. Oh, I'm trying to find open the chat. Here we go. All right, so we have Choiceful, Africa, Optimistic, England, Determined, Jade Mountain Resort, St. Lucia. Perseverance makes me a powerful woman. Dream vacation would be a trip to Ireland, a trip to Amsterdam, the Prague. I am a strong, resilient survivor. And my dream vacation would be Ireland. One word that describes me is driven, kind, woman of faith, and motivated. My dream vacation would be traveling to an island with a personal chef and daily massages. Vacation in Hawaii, a powerful woman, always optimistic. Compassionate, strong survivor. Thank you all for sharing a bit about yourselves tonight. Vacation in Hawaii. I think I said that. Oh, Greece. Greece would be the dream vacation. So we can check back with this if any gets added later, but we're going to move into our guest speakers. And the final one I just saw is resilient, like Arispa, compassionate and humbling. I think I maybe misread that, but keep it coming.
Sarah, if you don't mind, I'd like to share mine as well.
Yes,
I'd like to speak into the atmosphere. I see myself as being very powerful, also very purposeful, and always seeking to live out the destiny and the calling that God has on my life. And also my dream vacation is to just take a vacation for 6 weeks and go all around the world and to see the most beautiful sights around the world.
I love that. Thank you. And I added mine to the chat. We've got one more. Oh, that is beautiful, Robyn. So please keep adding your comments, your feedback to the chat throughout the evening. We'll share them publicly as we can. So I'm going to move on to our first guest speaker on the topic of mental health and wellness, and that's Dr. Marilise Hyacinth. She is a geriatric psychiatrist at Middlesex Health, and she's the medical director of adult outpatient services. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Marilise, and we can't wait to hear from you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Can everybody hear me? All right, great. So I'm just going to give a quick snapshot about mental health in the modern world. And the modern world is unfortunately dominated by our viral pandemic. This is not to be kind of a downer. This is about a little bit of education so that we can recognize if people are depressed around us, or if we ourselves are depressed, and then seek out some help. So next slide. What is depression? So some people usually just think of depression as being sad, being irritable. Not just about that. You know, people can present as being really nasty sometimes, being more than just irritable, and kind of being agitated in a way that's different than the way they usually are. And I think it's important that we not just think about depression as being sad, but also other mood symptoms that can go along with that. That might be lashing out, feeling worthless or guilty about things. Sometimes people really have trouble making decisions or concentrating. So you might see a friend or a loved one that seems like something's not quite right, but you're not sure what's going on. And it's important to just ask, you know, how are you today? How are you coping with, you know, all the crazy things that are happening in life? Sometimes people present with physical illness, and I think this is a really big thing. I see, you know, a lot of older adults, and a lot of people still present with physical illness, and that is usually at both ends of the spectrum. So usually young kids, you know, the classic is the stomach ache. They don't want to go to school. There's nothing really wrong, but they just are saying that they don't want to go to school. Or an older person who is complaining about backaches, headaches, other kinds of issues. Sometimes people actually have some significant personality changes, and that drives those around them away. And so if you see that from a friend or a loved one, or from yourself, like, hey, I just don't know why I'm acting this way. It's not just about, you know, I'm stressed. It may be that you're depressed. And so that's when it's time to sort of seek treatment or seek some help and support. A lot of people present with fatigue, loss of appetite, and sleep problems. I would say a majority of people I see have some issue with sleep, falling asleep, staying asleep, getting up too early, having interrupted sleep. And that cycle kind of perpetuates itself, and it makes it really hard to feel good during the day when you're not sleeping at night. A big thing is often wanting to stay home. Now we're in a viral pandemic. You know, we may be turning a corner soon, but who knows? But the big thing is, right, stay home. But it's more than that, staying home and being isolated, or not reaching out, not doing some of the activities that you could do, right? Even in the constraints of our lives at this point, when you have the opportunity. And I'm just a plug in for people to get vaccinated. They are safe, they are effective. We need everybody to get vaccinated, just for yourselves and others, but also so we can get back to a normal sort of part of life. Because one big thing that's been happening is with COVID, that there really is a mental health pandemic that's happening just alongside of this physical health pandemic. And it's likely that we're going to see the lasting effects for that for a very long time. Another issue is feeling as though life is not worth living, wishing you're dead, you know, wishing you want to hurt yourself or kill yourself. And so these are questions that, for myself, that's part of what I do. Those are like bread and butter questions that I ask people, but I can understand that other people are not necessarily feeling comfortable with asking their friends or family members or themselves that, or having these thoughts and thinking, oh, this is normal and it's kind of fine. I can just kind of push them aside. That's when you really need to, or encourage others, or for yourself, seek some treatment. Because even though life is very difficult under these very extreme circumstances, wishing to be dead, thinking you'd be better off dead, that is not part of normal living and normal life. Even when you get older, that's a whole misconception. But That's not part of normal life. So next slide. So one of the things that was actually done by the government was this, this huge survey, basically, that was sent out to thousands of people across America via a cell phone, 20-minute little online survey. And these surveys have been happening over a number of years, and particularly they've been comparing the data that they've had from this year, or this year overlapping with last year, so May 2020 to January 21, to basically before the pandemic. And so before the pandemic, generally about 10% of 18-year-olds or over had some symptoms of anxiety. Around 7% had some depression, and then about 12% had depression and anxiety. As you can imagine, those numbers have significantly changed. You probably just don't realize how much they have changed. So 40% of patients, or people, just people, are saying that they have some symptoms of depression and anxiety. That's compared to usually 12%. 35% are presenting with more anxiety or anxiety symptoms where they never had that before, and 25% are presenting with depression. So if you look around you, right, that's 1 in 4 people that are depressed. And that's understandable. This is a very difficult circumstance, but that's important to remember when you're interacting with people, or you're seeing those personality changes or those mood changes, and you're like, I think I'm not gonna call her today. She's got a little attitude. If I can help you get some help. I think that's the big part of that.
Dr. Hyacinth, just so you know, your sound is cutting out from time to time.
Oh, I have no idea how to stop that from happening.
So just so you're aware.
Okay, just let me know. So next slide. So when we're looking at the data that was gathered, important sort of underlying thing that was seen is that there were higher rates of depression, anxiety, suicidal thinking in Hispanic, Black, and people who were self-reported as essential workers. And most importantly, the highest rates were around self-reported unpaid caregivers. So those, women are usually those unpaid caregivers in our society, right? Taking care of small children, taking care of older adults, family members, even friends or cousins or even distant family members, when you're not having any compensation for that. And 30% of people who reported themselves as caregivers are seeing that level of depression. So it's important to always reach out to get some help. And if you're struggling, reaching out as well. As an aside, because I see lots of older adults, right? People who are caring for people with dementia, they're up to 60% of caregiver burnout and depression that's associated with it. Next slide. In addition, for Black respondents, we're seeing increased substance use in past 30 days, serious consideration of suicide. So one of the studies that actually just came out recently said, oh, the overall suicide rate is lower than what we expected. The caveat is for white people, but for Black respondents and Latino, that's actually higher over the past year. And so this pandemic is not just affecting, again, COVID is not just affecting people of color more more significantly. It's, the concurrent pandemic of depression and anxiety is also. And so that's something to keep in mind. Next slide. So the other part of this I really wanted to highlight was about this idea about the unpaid caregivers. And so there's a lot of different resources out there. Hopefully with changes in government funding, people can be paid, right? Being compensated for the extra work that you're doing is actually pretty vital for providing care. Next slide. One thing I really want to focus on in the brief time I have is about suicidal ideation and suicidal thinking. So people are twice as likely to report that they're having these thoughts about hurting themselves or killing themselves compared to, last year pre-pandemic. And so asking those questions of yourselves and your family members can be extremely important. Next slide. So getting help. So I am the medical director of our Center for Behavioral Health, our adult outpatient services. And so there's a lot of different mechanisms people come to us. Sometimes, if it's an emergency situation, your friend or loved one or yourself is thinking they want to hurt themselves, kill themselves, hurt somebody else, which is much less likely. It may be as simple as calling mobile crisis 211, calling 911. I know people are often reticent to do that in our climate, but it may be as simple as, can you come and let's go for a ride together? And that ride ends up in the ER. That's how, people can kind of work around that particular system. Sometimes people do end up hospitalized, and hospitalization has actually been shown to be helpful, especially in these cases. We have day treatment programs, which are programs that run 3 times a week, 3 hours a week, multiple times throughout the day to help people get intensive treatment, intensive care. And those are just done for a couple of weeks, and then they can go back to outpatient level of care. We routinely fill out FMLA. We have times during the evening, the morning, so it's flexible so that people can get the help they need. For outpatient level of care, individual therapy, as well as group therapy for older adults. Group therapy is actually shown to be more effective. And then you can also have medication management where, with an MD or an APRN. Not everybody needs medication. Some people just need a very little bit of medication and a lot of therapy to get them through. And then if you're part of our Middlesex system, you can do something called primary care consult. Let's say you have a therapist and you can't be seen by our clinic, but we can definitely work with your primary care provider about getting you recommendations for the help that you may need in terms of medications. So that was a very brief overview. I think I went over my time. It's about 42 seconds over my 10-minute time. I hope that I was able to cover, some beginnings about depression and, how difficult this pandemic has been, just not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental health standpoint. And please care. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hyacinth. And we will be going and hearing from Dr. Farrell next, but we will take questions after the second speaker. So if you do have questions for Dr. Hyacinth, you'll have a chance to ask her directly. Reverend Anderson, did you want to introduce our next speaker?
Yes, sure. It gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce our guest speaker. There's so many things that I could say about her and the great work that she continues to do. She is the CEO of the Olive Branch Clinical Services. She's a licensed social worker. She has her jurisprudence doctorate degree. She also is a prolific writer and as an author and has published many books on spiritual direction. She has also produced books on marriage, counseling, marriage covenant. She's also produced many books on family engagement. She is also known and has presented all over the country. The work that she does with engagement, and then also racial justice work that she also does as well. She's the mother of 8 children. She has 5 grandchildren. She's also a licensed minister in the Church of God of Prophecy. And so we are so grateful and so fortunate to have her. She is just a powerful, dynamic woman. And I know that you will hear it. I know you will feel it as she comes forward. So I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Alice Farrell.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. Glad to be with you all, and wonderful to hear all of those pieces in the chat about description that speak to how powerful each and every one of you are. I'm going to share my screen. And the title of it is Self-Care Contextualized, Intersection of Public Health Crises, COVID-19 and Civil Unrest. And thank you, Dr. Hyacinth, for giving us that real brief overview, really set the stage for what I'm going to share, and this will be very quickly. Trauma, I need to speak about this so that we can then get to the self-care. Trauma results from an event or series of events or set of circumstances that is experienced by an individual as physically and emotionally harmful or threatening, and that has lasting adverse effects on the individual's physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. Now I'm going to speak to the whole person, okay? We heard a bit from Dr. Hyacinth about depression, about the psychological impact of the pandemics that we are going through right now. And so I'd like for us to go to www.menti.com and enter the code that is on the slide. And I believe it's going to be in the chat. You just click on that and we're going to follow the instructions there and we're going to see what pops up. Let me just get to that new slide. And it should appear for us. Whatever you enter into the screen, it's going to pop up on my screen and you should be able to see it. It's going to be anonymous, so no one will know what you're entering in. You're responding first to what words described how you felt over the last several months regarding your experiences. Just 3 words. Panic, scared, fear. Thank you for entering that. Let's just keep letting them come in. We know we've been going through a pandemic of COVID-19 with all of the horrifics, death, separation, loss, anxiety. We get confused, there's frustrated. So panic, scared, fear, frustrated, confused. Thank you, let's get them all in there. We have a lot of folk on here. This is Real Talk, everyone, Real Talk.
We have lonely and disconnected in the chat as well.
Thank you, lonely and disconnected. What else have we been feeling over the last several months and year? This is our collective experience that we're putting here. Vulnerable, hopeless, isolated. I see the disconnected. Thank you. Hopeless.
Confined.
Confined. Yes, let's go ahead and put them in, just 3 words, and just submit that for us. Let's put it on the platform so we can all see. We're in this together. And so while you're all putting it in, misunderstood, prayerful, sad, alone, driven, secluded, so it's definitely seeing some of the things that already Dr. Hyacinth had pulled up for us, right? In what she shared with her the research. Just taking a look at it again. It adjusts itself. Excited for a word reset. All right. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is just to quickly go over and just indicate a few words that you have heard individuals have shared with you about their feelings. Let's take about 30 seconds to do this. What have others said to you that they were feeling? How have they been feeling? Lonely, frustrated, sad. Thank you for putting that in there. Supported, fearful, cheated, isolated, worry, panic, alone, unsure, tired, uncertain, strained, anxious. We have the fearful and the worry there.
We have sick, frustrated with technology overload, exhausted.
Thank you for placing that in there for us so that we can hear that. Thank you so much. Drained. We hear drained, fearful, zoomed out. Thank you so much. So in the interest of time, I'm going to stop there and come back to sharing. Just going to a new slide. And coming back and sharing my PowerPoint with you now. So let me take you to this screen. Sarah, can you confirm that you see a screen with the COVID-19 civil unrest?
Yes.
Wonderful. Everyone, I'm going to just bring these in. We've just seen some pieces about the experiences that Dr. Hyacinth mentioned in the research. We just got a little micro of our experiences and individuals' experiences that they shared it with you. And now I'm going to speak to what those the feelings and what the experiences might be. So we do have experiences within individually and in our families that are positive. And that's all of this yellow here, right? They're strengths, they're goal-oriented, they're focused, intelligent, optimistic, caring individuals have aspirations. But then within our very same communities and our individual lives, we see all of these reds. Adverse childhood experiences, incarceration, violence, housing instability, rejection, loss, grief, alcoholism, toxic stress, and it goes on and on and on. All of this adding to the experiences that we're having in terms of our emotions and the psychological impact, COVID-19, civil unrest, the shadow pandemic of increased domestic violence, intimate partner violence, as well as the opiate epidemic and all of the other things that we're going through. Then you have these greens. It's a variation in relationship, broken, balanced boundaries, restricted boundaries, estranged, multiple relations, loose boundaries. We got lots of things going on within ourselves, within the families that we're working with, and in our general community. And then we have this. So imagine all of the pressure internally regarding family of origin and the adverse childhood experiences and the adverse community experiences. And now you look at the social, environmental, political impact of these items. So we have the institutional and systemic racism, the racial ethnic disparities, the implicit bias. We have all of the internal oppression as well as the external oppression. So we have all of this going on. We're not to be surprised about the psychological impact, the emotional impact, the impact on mental health and our coping capacity. Disparities across systems. Child welfare, education, juvenile justice, mental health, substance use, physical health, housing, quality of care, access to care. The COVID-19 exposed and unveiled what many of us knew already. We're experiencing this. So what about it? Those experiences on the whole person requires us to look at the whole person in terms of self-care. So here are 8 dimensions of self-care taken from Samsha: emotional, environmental, financial, intellectual, occupational, physical, social, spiritual. We can't focus in only on one and neglect the others. We may have to compartmentalize and focus in for the moment on the emotional piece, looking at the coping effectively with our life and creating satisfying relationships. But at the same time, where our basic human needs are being affected, or families' basic human needs are being affected in terms of housing security, food security, access to medical health, and so on, that piece is going to be very much impacted. So it's almost like a moment that we're stopping and think, hey, my entire being is affected by the intersection of pandemics. So my entire being must become into focus when I think about self-care. So let me just jump down quickly. This financial satisfaction with current and future financial situations, that's a challenge right now. Unemployment, underemployment, reduced hours, being laid off, so much is riding on the finances. And so that impacts in terms of our anxiety level, out the door, stresses. And then we see it manifesting in the way we're relating to others, whether we're moving into depression or we're moving into disruptive behaviors or beginning to use the maladaptive practices that have gotten many in trouble as it is, whether it's increasing substance use or robbing others and all of those horrific pieces. Let me jump over to occupational, personal satisfaction and enrichment from one's work. Here, we're actually seeing an increase in toxicity around individuals specific to microaggression. So persons of color being on the receiving end of microaggression, individuals who may categorize themselves as white may actually, and I've heard this and they've shared it, are feeling so in a space of guilt and shame for some, as well as in a space where they're anticipating someone saying the wrong thing or they're themselves saying the wrong thing. So they're living in this anxiety-provoking place, and it's becoming very toxic in the workplace. Just the reality of where we are right now. Social, developing a sense of connection, belonging, and a well-developed support system. This is essential. But again, we're in that space of COVID-19, and over this period of time, as Dr. Hyacinth referenced before, the loneliness, this isolation, the depression, the not being able to be connected in the way that we typically need to be as human beings, right? That's affecting us. But even in this space, we must take that opportunity to get into that area where we begin, even incrementally, to identify who's in our social system, who's in our network, how can we expand it by 1, 2 different individuals, moving quickly to the spiritual component, expanding a sense of purpose and meaning in life. Now, I'm going to share this. There's so many diagrams out there. If you take a look at this, and feel free, and you don't have to, but you can feel free to put in the chat any one of these things that you're currently using. When we think about the experience we just had, right, there were some elements around yoga, some elements about sound, some elements about mindfulness and waking up the body to say you're getting ready to be healed, right? We have so many aspects, but I'm going to say this, real talk. We could have all of this, but not make a plan, not have an accountability partner that helps us to maintain and to effectively execute the plans that we've designed around our self-care. If we don't do that, we find ourselves in that space over and over again, anxious, feelings of defeat and separation, and just a disconnect. So, because I know that there's so much out there, I'm saying let's take the time to go through, find those resources and identify 1 to 3 things that you can begin to do that you will form a habit around for your own health. The one piece that I want to speak to in a radical way is on social justice engagement. Some may not think of this as a self-care component, but it is, because for so many of these other aspects, it's almost temporary. It is a fleeting moment, and then we're back into the race and back into toxicity, and then we're negatively affected again. I am suggesting that we not only do those things, but we take on some other elements. And in the interest of time, I'm going to just skip through and come right here. Very quickly, I'm saying revolt as a part of self-care. Being aware of our realities, what's happening in our communities in terms of the disenfranchisement and marginalization of population groups. What is our resolve? Be resolved about our culture, our biases, know what we are, who we are, how we are impacted by what's going on and how we can contribute. Know our culture, be the expert in your life, your live experiences, and bring that into the sphere of all venue. Engagement, I'm saying, as part of self-care that transcends the immediate and set legacy, generational transition, making an impact for yourself and for your children and grandchildren, etc., your family members. Become engaged in social justice, racial equity related work on all levels, micro, individual, at the kitchen table, in your home, in the community, in organizations, meso, and on the macro level, be part of the system change and the movement. This voice amplification, I'm looking at the time, Sarah, voice amplification, I'm saying as part of our self-care, begin to amplify your voice rather than internalize and turn it inward and have the internal oppression. Voice amplification, your voice, as well as the voices of others in the community who have not the platform to bring their voices to change policies and practices that are negatively affecting them, as I showed in the slide before. Obstruction. Obstruct every policy, practice, and law out there that will continue to disenfranchise people group. Obstruct them through your own strategies, whether it's boycott, civil disobedience, calling out things, testifying in legislative sessions. Do your part, becoming civically engaged. This leveraging piece, I'm simply saying, if you have privilege based on your whiteness, use it. Use it to the advantage for the people who are being disenfranchised and disadvantaged by the institutional racism that exists. Use it. You can reach platforms that many persons of color may not be able to. Leverage your power. If your power is a person of color and you have your privilege in your education, in your resources, use it, leverage it, maximize this leverage capacity. Transparency, I'm gonna stop there in terms of transparency. Be transparent, demand transparency as part of every table that you sit at, and that's part of self-care. You're using your power to effectuate change. That's self-care. I'm gonna stop there in the interest of time.
Wow, thank you both, Dr. Farrell and Dr. Hyacinth. We are coming close to our ending time, which is 8 o'clock. We might run over by a few minutes in order to take questions and wrap up with a final mindful moment with Akilah. But do we have any questions for any of our guest speakers? Feel free to put it in the chat, or if you are skilled, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question live. So we have some thank yous coming in. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, and I also want to say that if we do run out of time and there are questions, what we also can do is we can also ask our facilitators to answer those questions and try to email them back out to you.
So do we have any questions? So I'm gonna give folks a moment to type in their questions or to ask, and I'm gonna go back to our presentation so that we can share what's coming next in our programming for this RealTalk series. I think you can see this. So we have a series of talks. We have 2 more on Thursday evening. So next Thursday, May 6th, we have a talk called Flipping the Fork, Let's Talk Diet and Nutrition. And we have some special guests as well as a cooking demonstration for that series. Please encourage others to join us. This is the link to register. And then the final talk is Thursday, May 13th, and it's about moving with purpose. Just to mention that if you've already registered, you can use your same login link for every one of these talks. And I will send a reminder to you shortly before the talk, just a few hours before, so you can find that link. And then finally, I'm excited to share that we're going to be offering an outdoor gathering in person, socially distanced, Saturday, May 22nd to wrap up our series. That will be from 10:30 to noon. at the Smith Park Pavilion at 525 Country Club Road in Middletown. The pavilion is right visible from the road. We do have goodie bags for our first registrants, and you can choose from either a trail walk or an exercise class. And we're going to share the link to register for that because it's separate, because it's not a Zoom. Yay, no more Zoom. It'll be a different registration. We'd like to keep track of our numbers just so we can plan accordingly. So that link is tinyurl.com/realtalkoutdoors. And Catherine has shared in the chat the full link so that you can get to that. I'm going to just check and see if we have any questions before I move on. We just have some feedback thanking our speakers, which we really appreciate. And then next, seeing that we don't have any questions for the time being, I'm going to turn this over to Catherine Reese, if you're ready, Catherine, because we have a lovely drawing. We have a gift box that's been donated by Pocketful of Posies in Middletown. It's valued at $100 and includes lots of self-care products and a gift card to the store. And Catherine, are you ready to spin the wheel?
I'm ready to go. So I'm just gonna share my screen, and it says, okay, let's see.
And this is what you're...
Okay, everyone. So I am hoping that I did this right. This is the first time I have used this wheel. I'd like to thank Barbara Holloman for sharing it with me. It's great fun. Okay, so everyone's name is entered into this wheel. So I'm going to spin it and I hope it works and picks a winner. Okay, so good luck, everyone. Can everyone see it? Hopefully, yes. Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Brenda. Yay, Brenda, you won a lovely prize.
So Brenda, I will reach out to you and arrange for you to pick up this lovely box. And congratulations. Brenda says, thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to go back and ask Akilah to close us out. And actually, before I do that, I have one more thing to share with you, which is, before we say goodnight, we would like your feedback on tonight's talk. So we have a survey for you, and Catherine is going to put that link in the chat that you can visit after we're done. And last but not least, we're going to ask Akilah to come back and close out our evening. Over to you, Akilah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm just going to be a little bit bending over. I have a singing bowl on the ground. So if you can get really comfortable in your chair. If you'd like, you can lay down on the ground, just any position that's comfy. And I'm just gonna begin to go through a meditation that's really good for relaxation and letting go. So whenever you're ready, just allow yourself to take that really bright, deep breath in. And just release, open the mouth, let it go. So it's a time to journey. It's a time to go within, leave all the concerns of the day. Just taking a few more deep breaths as we've been really connected to our breathing this evening. And notice with each inhalation breath, see if you can breathe in that gentle wave of relaxation, almost like a soft pillow, a cloud. And then as you exhale, see your body releasing, feel your body releasing any tension as if it's melting like warm honey and allowing you to sink a little deeper into gravity. Still following that breath. Just allowing your body to get heavier and more relaxed with each breath. And just feel the body sinking a little deeper into your chair, feeling your feet on the earth. Just allowing the whole body to release into that embrace of the earth. Give your body permission to let go at this time. To relax into this timeless moment. And I now invite you to allow your awareness to go even deeper within. And begin to notice and feel that place in your body where you feel the most peaceful and the most relaxed. And when you find that place, take a few deeper breaths into that area. That place of peace, that place of relaxation. See if you can allow that sensation to expand. And with each breath in, allowing that serenity to fill within. Free from any concerns, any worries, any stressors of the world. Just allow the body, the breath to deepen with ease. No effort. Breathing softly into your belly. See if you can notice the belly rising with each inhale. And feel that gentle release, that softening of the belly as you exhale. And just growing a little more tranquil, a little more peaceful with each exhalation. Just following your breathing gently in through the nose, all the way down into the throat, into the chest and belly. And I want you to begin to notice from above in your mind's eyes, if you can see the sun, and then feel that warmth begin to shine right on the crown of your head, like a beautiful column, bright and warm of light. Begin to really surround the whole body as if it's an envelope in the whole body. Notice in your mind's eye the color, its brilliance, and the sensation of that light as it begins to fill the body. Notice that sensation of warmth on the skin. Allowing it to go a little deeper with each breath here. Breathing in that light, that relaxing, peaceful sensation. And as you exhale, just allow yourself to again release any of those worries of this day. You don't have to hold on to it. You can let it go. And just feeling that light as if it were a blanket, really covering you, keeping you safe here. Notice how wonderfully quiet and comfortable you feel. Knowing that everything is going to be all right. As you rest in peace and serenity. And resting in that light of the warm sun. Some of you may choose to drift off from here. Just allow yourself to bask in the sun. Just notice how you're feeling. allowing the breath to deepen in time, finding those gentle movements, a swallow, a nod, wiggling the toes, taking your time to really allow the breath to find all those pockets wherever it's needed. You can allow the eyes to flutter open when ready. Just coming back into the room when you're ready, into your space. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Akilah.
Thank you so much, powerful women. We look forward to our next session of Real Talk. And continue to go out and be those bright lights that shine brightly. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
And I just saw a message that the link for the walk registration was not made public, so I will fix that. Thank you for letting me know. And you'll have plenty of time to register for that, and we'll share that link a couple more times. So thank you again so much. Have a lovely evening, and hopefully we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Stay safe, healthy, and positive.